Hello, hello, hello. What's happening? My pen. There we go. Okay. So, last week, I started messing around a little bit towards the end, and I realized I really wanted to do some Madballs, which are this like really funny kind of 80s out there cartoon slash toy from my childhood. So there's this one called Hornhead here, and I figured it'd make for a good sculpt. Very nostalgic character for me, so I want to just yeah, put that dude together and get a nice sculpt going. So that's what I'm gonna be working on today. Maybe I'll just grab all of these and throw them in the spotlight while I'm at it. Well, that's gonna work just great. What's up, Elanars? Yeah, I heard this soundtrack the other day when I was watching another art stream, and it's a royalty-free channel with all chiptune stuff. So I was like, oh, I'm doing a retro piece today, so might as well get some retro tunes out. Yeah, what's up, Kyle? Nah, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I was like, alright, you know what? So I threw on a retro playlist, and diving into some 80s nostalgia right now. Very happy about it. I think it really lends itself well to the medium. These early stages are very important. It's all about nailing down these correct proportions and stuff. Still too big. Stylized eyes. Yeah, you know, a good trick to do is, let me duplicate this. Let me see if I can. So, let me switch this up to Sphere 3D. Should be enough resolution. Okay, so for stylized eyes, a good thing to do, you know, say you have your skull, and you got your base here. Duplicate that. Let me duplicate this off again. Just make sure I don't lose this one. Okay, leave that one alone because that one's going to be in the actual sculpt. So back to these. So these are going to be stylized eyes, right? One thing you want to make sure is that the eyes are actually a lot bigger in the head cavity than is shown. So like they kind of bulge out because you're really only catching the front of the eyes, and even the front of your eyes, there aren't perfect spheres. They actually have like a little bit of a, like there's a little bit of a bulb that comes out in the front of your iris. But a way to get started with stylized eyes, at least for the beginning steps when you're sculpting, I think I have a example mesh that'll actually be a little bit clearer. Characters. This guy's eyes are pretty stylized. Just turn off all the skin shading here. I'll turn off these sunglasses. So his eyes began quite stylized. Oh, you know what? How about this? I think I'm a different guy. So these are all in progress. But the way I did this guy's eyes was to build the spheres, place them in the head the way they're supposed to go, and then just slice off a top and a bottom like that. So you have the eyes, and then with the top and bottom like that, you just basically rotate them, and then you just have like your base, and you can start working from like a nice clean base. Like that's kind of like the most important, the most helpful thing is that like, you know, duplicate this twice more, grab that, maybe shrink it in a little bit, and then you can just like give yourself a nice little window there for which ones you want to come through, and then rotate it. So like obviously long way to go here, but like if you start from a base like that, what that enables you to do is kind of like keep things nice and tidy, and you can, you know, sculpt your head all around these. Let's just duplicate that one off. Make that nice and big. Turn on transparency. Banana dude. But the point is, like, a lot of times when you're building your mesh up, you get lost in the fact that you know, the eyes, as you're like forming the shape of the ocular cavities and you're doing all that stuff, the eyes start being a real nuisance because they just they need to retain that spherical shape, which is a very hard thing to do when you're cutting in to the surrounding areas and you're trying to build noses, and like the you know, the way the brow kind of has more meat over here and cuts in over there. All the things you do when sculpting a head can make it really difficult to keep the eyes in a sane place. But if you build those three meshes, you have your eyelashes and you have your sphere, and they look correct in 3D every direction. And then you can build your mesh around that, and, you know, just be ready to go in there and detail those, because you just kind of know that this is the right scale of the eyeball is the right size relative to the rest of my head, and you also know that you know, you can start building up like the wrinkles that kind of sit underneath the eye, and where the eye, like the flesh of the like the skin around the cheekbone starts kind of tapering off and meets into the nose a little bit. And, you know, it just allows you to be kind of loose with your head sculpt, knowing that, like, okay, like those eyes are in a decent spot, because now I can come over the top here with that part of the eye, which most characters have, depending on how much, like, you know, that, you know, the nationality of the character will affect how much of the, you know, the cranium is shaped in a certain way. And so you kind of like all the things those things you're changing and figuring out as you're doing it won't affect the eye at all. It'll just be sitting there waiting for you to come back to it. And then that kind of oversized, stylized look that you're looking for. Um, you know, once you kind of have them where they want to be, you can start adding some subdivisions and maybe like, you know, like flaring this part out a little bit while pulling this part in, and like, you know, start building a little bit more of a complex eye shape. And like maybe like they're kind of incredulous and eyes are wide open. But you see you have like that geo there that allows you kind of to start tinkering with the actual flaps of the eyelash, and you start sculpting on it and you can build the wrinkles around it, and like already it's like kind of getting to the point where it's a little bit more kind of a stylized look there. Toy plastic is a good object or a good eye color to fill it with. Standard RGB. No, it's okay. It's that's kind of what we're here for. Just I don't mind. I mean, like this channel is supposed to be, you know, more for instruction. But yeah, you know, see, it's already kind of on the way to being sort of a stylized, exaggerated eyeball look. And hopefully that little method will help you, because it's nice. Like I said, it's a nice way to kind of keep your bases while you're building the surrounding forms, because you know that eye ratio of the eye to the head and all those things are the kind of things that, you know, you can play with as an artist for the stylized look, and you see like, you know, what works, what doesn't for what you're trying to achieve, and then build around the eye socket, and it should just be working for you. Yeah, so well on your way, right? Anyway. Back to, let's leave this on as it is. Let's go back here. Yeah, see, specifically right now I'm just trying to nail down dimensions. Make sure you have plenty of room for the mouth. The mouth is this guy's like key feature. You know, while still keeping enough space for that eyeball. I mean, the eyeball is showing a little bit less than I'm currently showing here. Let's try that for now. Give me 1 sec. It's a little hot in here. I'm gonna turn the AC on. Be right back. here? No, looks like I don't. So I'll just duplicate this, switch to the center it. Ring 3D, perfect. Yeah, they're called spatula. They're called Madballs. I was doing like a head sculpt, and it came up in the last stream last week, and I just couldn't get it out of my mind. I had to make one. Reminds me of my youth. I thought these things were the coolest. Probably a little less thick. Right around there. Yeah, I know. Like, I remember like so powerfully. Like, I used to love this cartoon when I was a kid. I used to watch like the feature film. I used to watch it all the time with my sister. I just thought it was the coolest thing. I loved Madballs. And they never really had like huge like they never got as big as like similar things of those like like they were never like for as far as like weird cartoons were concerned, they certainly never got to like super huge status. So I figured I'd throw a little love out because I remember like and like the things themselves, like there's actually really cool art in all of them. So like I'm excited, just like if I finish this one before the stream's over, maybe I'll do another one. Or if people like it, maybe I'll just keep doing them, because I would like to just maybe like do a set of them, put them on pedestals and render it out, like do a really nice high quality render. Yeah, and like like Cabbage Patch or Garbage Pail Kids, for example, comes to mind. Like the sort of like gross, plushy, maybe even like had their own trading card thing about it. Like Madballs had a lot of that same type of merch going on. Okay, how's that? Looks like the lips are a little too far out. And at the same time though, yeah, like I agree. Like I just think like they were so cool. It's funny that they never like had that super mass appeal as far as like gross 90s cartoon sort of niche IP was. Although I think there's like games coming out for it. I think they're trying to revitalize it, because these days revitalizing 80s and 90s IP is all the rage. There we go, a little more real loop like that. I'm doing shapes like this like to mask as I'm doing them because they can let me adjust. Yeah, I think I'm getting there. Kind of comes to a point right there. Oops. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and actually the one I'm doing right now is the Hornhead one is the one I always remember like vividly in my mind. I always like pictured this one. But then I started looking at the others and I was like, wow, there's a ton of really cool like kind of nifty ones. Madballs. Like there's so many really good ones. Like that dude is rad. The one in the upper left. Then they had just like the crazy baseball one. He's just like lunatic. This one in the upper left's cool. This one's got an eyeball inside of it, and it's like opening half its mouth open, and the other eyeball just up there. And it's got the eyeball falling out. There's just so many like rad little designs that I'd love to play with them and sort of you know I honestly like I think I'm gonna try and just do a replication for this first one. Yeah, like look at some of these. That's cool. The mummy head I remember. Did they do a middle finger on his face? Or that's just a padlock. Yeah, these are rad, dude. So yeah, like, I'm gonna, you know, I'll make this one today, but I could totally see myself just getting on a tear and just trying to do like a set of them, throw them on a bunch of pedestals, and like do like a really rad render with like all gooey materials and stuff like that. It could be a fun little project. Yeah, totally. It's such like a good. It's a good. What's the word? It's a good. I almost want to say like slump buster or just like inspiration thing. It's like, you know, if you're ever like in a creative block, it's good to just like take your mind out of like the design process. Take your mind out of like the I have to think about how this is all gonna work, how this is all gonna look. And just do a fan art. Like fan art's a good slump buster for when you're having a creative block. I'm not saying that you are, but just saying like this is a perfect candidate for that type of thing. The nose is about a third bigger than the eyeball, so I think that's pretty close. Hey, Perejil con papas, Perejil con papas, what's up? This is the pretzel rocks. Where is this thing? Pretzel. If you Google pretzel rocks, it's like a stream. This is the Chip Team channel on that. Pedrag, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Yeah, no worries. Not rude at all. Welcome to the channel. What'd you work on for the creature box? What is creature box again? Is that the I know, like, I always haven't been there in forever. Oh yeah, these guys. These guys are awesome. Yeah, fan arts are a really good way to just like keep the juices flowing. Whenever I'm like bogged down with work and I'm not feeling creative, um, I'll just start kind of riffing on something that is a sculpt or design I really like. It's good. And then when you're doing that, you're also building up your visual inventory, which is, you know, it's not time wasted because every moment you spend, like, you know, in the craft of it all is time that goes to your creative bank account and starts manifesting itself on other works you're doing later. There's a little sharp cleft at the end there. Those guys worked on Ratchet and Clank? I didn't know that's where they originated. It's awesome. Ah! Someone's at the door. 1 second. Be right back. Sorry about that. Build up frame. There we go. I got that little that mask there. Remind me of. Let's get this nose back under control. You know, it remains to be seen if I even need a retopo. I'll probably just keep it high poly, keep dynameshing, and if anything, I'll just probably, if I want to just get better, you know, deformation when I go super high poly, I'll probably do a Z remesh, just to get like, you know, good edge flow and a decent medium poly. I won't go super low with it. Like if I was going into a game resolution, I would have to do it by hand. But I'll probably just do a Z remesh for this, since it's just going to be a render and a sculpt. I'll probably just do a Z remesh. That'll give me what I need. And it takes only a couple minutes. That's the best part about it, actually. Alright, nice flared nostrils there. I might do game res. Usually the stuff I do on this channel is for game res. Every now and then it's, you know, and it's just a sphere too, so I mean, if I can be, you know, pretty medium res with it, meaning like I don't need to go super optimized topology, you know, I might be able just to get away with, you know, a lot of times if, depending on the mesh of course, I can do just a Z remesh and use it in engine. My polygroups are good. I can just do UV by polygroups. After some auto topologize, maybe clean up a polygon here or there, but Oops. Oops. Nice. That'll do. Noses are always tough, but when you get like the right look, it's usually worth the time. I think I'm finally starting to get the sort of like flared nostrils, but still bulging out look that I was after. Is actually a bigger surface, just farther back. And the way they kind of made this guy able to scowl with only having one eye is quite impressive too. Like having just the one sort of like overhanging eyebrow sort of actually like reads as a scowl even though it's a dude's like a cyclops. Bravo to the creators. Oh yeah, seriously. Just spheres. I mean, like, cause the sphere is like a pretty forgiving shape when it comes to imagining things. I don't even know what other shapes they would do, honestly. Cubes would be interesting. Ears are decently big. This dude had a beard. It's amazing. I gave him a big, thick black beard. Whoever designed this one is... I wonder what they're working on these days, honestly. I would love to know what the design team on Madballs is working on today, if they're not all retired. I hope they're at like ILM or something. Kaylee, what's up? Yeah, me too. We were just talking about these things came up on the last. I can't even remember what they were called. They came up on the last stream, and I was like, dude, these things are awesomely designed. I want to sculpt one for the next stream. So here we are. So that first scar goes above the ear, like right up into the nose. I think I'll make this the scar right here. Trying to find the right cut brush. Got a few different cut brushes down here. Not sure which one makes the most sense for this. Horrible Cracks is a great one. These more environmental. That one's pretty good actually. That one might be the one. Ooh. Like this one. Zatanima. Yeah, that's what I'm going for. Change the soundtrack up a little bit even for this stream. Trying to harken back to simpler times. Oh, is there a scar on both sides actually? No, they're different. I'm gonna stay symmetrical. I'm not gonna do the scar yet because I want to stay symmetrical for now. I got a lot more form building to do. While I'm in symmetry, that it'll enable me to come in here a little bit later and start breaking symmetry up and doing more high resolution detail. But for now, I got more things to work on before I start changing that up. Robin Lynch, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Several companies are making new products for these things, huh? I didn't realize that. What's up, Ashley? A Cubed is another one of the Pixelogic streamers. She goes on Wednesdays. I always get to catch her stream because I'm always working at that time. Definitely check out Ashley's stream. Robin Lynch, these are called Madballs, yeah. They're Rad. I didn't realize that there's a bit of a revitalization going on. It's just that these came up in discussion on my last stream, and I went and Googled them, and I was like, man, what cool designs these things have. So I was right at the end of my stream last week. I was like, I'm definitely doing this next week. Just wanted to work on one of them, and then if I get this one done and I like it, I might just keep doing them because they're really. We were going through the website a little bit earlier. There's so many sweet designs on these things. Yeah, I hadn't heard anything about companies working on Madballs stuff right now. That's awesome to hear. I think I did. I think I made a crack earlier about how pretty much everything in the nostalgia piggy bank is being rolled out right now. So it does not surprise me that someone's working on revitalizing Madballs. I'm also super curious as to know what's happening with the people who originally designed Madballs back in the 80s. Like, are those people working at Pixar now, Disney? What are they creating now? Clearly a talented team. I mean, like, there's so many awesome designs in that IP. American Greetings. American Greetings, the card company? Yeah. $55. $55, and they're sold out. Man. Unbelievable. Pretty. Wow. They're making Madballs themed with monster movies, huh? Yeah, there you go. Jeez. San Diego Comic Con 05, 2015. Well, I'm jumping on. I wonder, there's probably a license out there somebody has to get. Good God, man. Sold out at $55. Approximately 4 inches, so let's see. That's a pretty nice size, actually. I got a ruler here. Help me visualize this. Where's my damn ruler? I don't know, 4 inches is about that big. That's a pretty nice size. Show me more. I'm actually gonna grab this one, throw it on my ref board so I have it. That shit awesome. I mean, this dude has a beard, a spike, a nose ring. They made him look mean. With one eyeball, he's got a scowl. It's just rad. Alright. I don't know how much I should protrude. Maybe like right there. Bend curve. Straighten it out a little bit more. wonder if there's anything that was good from my youth that's not being resold right now in some way or another. Was there anything good that I remember that isn't just being revitalized, repurposed, and marked up a huge amount? It's better than these things dying off forever, though, I suppose. Gargoyles. What were the gargoyles? I don't even remember those. Is that a IP? I don't remember this. Oh, I think I remember this now. That's right, that's right. And they have those teddy bears. What are those teddy bears called? Bear cartoon, jumping bear cartoon. I should find it. The gummy bears. It was the gummy bears. Yeah. I guess gummy bears never really went away. Oh, all time. What an all-time theme song. Unbelievable. They should bring. I wonder if gummy bears would hold up. That's amazing. They used to put such good production value in the opening theme songs for cartoons. The DuckTales cartoon theme song is like one of the best songs ever written. That's funny. I'm sure the Gummy Bears remix right on the way. This time it'll be in VR. VR Gummy Bears. Device sold separately. Did they make that cartoon just to sell, or just to like promote the candy gummy bears? Because, I mean, that's what marketing used to be. Bravo. Let's get back to those days. I'm sure they're still doing that with kids' cartoons currently. It's not a new device, but I wonder about production value. I dare one of you to claim that the Gummy Bears theme song isn't running through your head right now as we sit here listening to this chiptune town. I'm curious as to all the different companies working on the Madballs IP. Like, there must be somebody out there floating that license around. I don't think you can just make them. Ears are such a pain in the butt, but when they're done right, they're good. I just love that this dude has a beard. I cannot contain my excitement that they gave this Madball a friggin' beard. It's amazing. Yeah, I think the same thing actually. I was just talking about this the other day. I was like, man, there's so much good. I just wonder if that's old man syndrome now that I'm in my mid-30s. That's just like what people sound like when they get older. But it does feel like there's so much generic, repeatable IP these days. Whereas like, not that there weren't generic things like that back in the day, but it's just like there was so much good stuff. I mean, you think about like all the like Ninja Turtles being born then. Like what a crazy idea that was. Like someone had to sign off on that. Like do people sign off on weird crazy stuff like that these days? I don't know. I don't really, obviously I'm not really plugged into the cartoon scene. But man. Yeah, Rick and Morty is great, but that's not a kid's show. Jason the Wheeled Warriors. I don't know what that is. Oops.
Thundering across the stars to save the universe, the changing form of Sawboss. Wheeled warriors explode into battle. Lightning strikes.
There's a power that comes from deep inside of you.
Oh my god, it's amazing too.
Every day reaching toward the light.
I feel like, and again, this is just old man speak. I feel like IP today is like, how realistic looking can we make something kind of believable? Whereas back then it was just like, what's the most like unbelievable thing? Like everything was just so out there. I don't know. Could just be nostalgia talking. Let's try to round these shapes out. I want these sort of landmarks to be there, but I don't want it to be as bulbous as it was. But I do want it to have the 3D shape, but just not. I like the silhouette of these shapes. I just don't like how prominent they are. looks a lot better. It's like smoother silhouette. Part's a little too much still. There we go. Extreme is the word I'm looking for. That's right. Captain Planet, I remember for sure. Oh yeah, and Pedrag, I've gone on that rant a million times about music back then versus now. I mean, like, you just go like the cross without going too old man in my rocking chair right now. Like the cross genre, like there's so many genres of music doing really amazing things in the 80s and 90s. Like even just the 90s, like the 90s is not given the credit it deserves for how much amazing music came out of then, and just all kinds of genres. I mean, even if you're not even into it, like the country pop boom all happened in the 90s. Like even like just like all of that stuff got massive. Like Shania Twain and Garth Brooks, who's like the highest selling country artist of all time. But then like obviously all like you got like all of the rap scene, all the gangster rap scene was insane. Then you got like Chili Peppers, and then you got like just all of the grunge stuff was then in the 90s. You got all of like the rock stuff, like the pop rock stuff, and then the punk stuff. Like there was just so many, like there's like Bad Religion 80s and 90s, and like you just got so much amazing different types of music at like the peak of its game. Like I don't think you'd find a lot of people who would say the rap game right now is at its peak, or the rock and roll game is at its peak, or like bands like Sublime and like Chili Peppers are not the same genre of band, but then you got like alternative as a genre. Even ska was around for a while. Like there's just so much stuff. Like bands like No Doubt, bands like it's just like there's so many insane genres of music that were just like not insane, but just like there's just a lot, and there's a lot of people doing like amazing stuff in what they were doing. Anyway, ran over, but like yeah, I'm always caught up in that because like people don't think of the genre. People don't think of the '90s as a significant musical time period, but it so is. I mean, like all-time legendary bands came about in the 90s. Great time for video games. Wub Wub is the red wax of music. Yeah, I totally agree with that. The songs for those cartoons were all so good too. Nine Inch Nails. Rap did come about. I think it like came about a bit in the 80s and like found and like but like just peaked in the 90s and then ended in the 90s. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, the Defiant ones, I have the entire thing recorded. I just have not sat down. It's on my DVR. I'm dying. I saw like the first part of the first episode, and I was like, oh, well, I gotta watch this whole thing. So like, as I was watching it, I just stopped watching, and just threw it on, so that I could sit down and like really take it in. That's more how I watch TV these days. I'm either like, I'll be at my desk working, and I'll have something on that I can like don't mind not paying attention to. Or if it's something that I really want to pay attention to, then I don't do it at work, or I don't do it while I'm working. And there's the full, like, I gotta sit down and watch this, but I don't get to do that as often as I'd like. Gonna need to start breaking up the symmetry pretty soon. Starting to get to the point where I'm ready to start doing the scars. It's always a nerve-wracking step. I hate doing it. It makes me nervous. Ooh, this is a good playlist. I like this. Getting it mixed up with the two now. I'm gonna throw this on my little playlist OneNote over here. It's a good playlist. Thanks for that recommendation. I like it. Add it to my list here. Beard actually does go a little bit above the ear. Even that Mr. T as a human even existed in the 80s and 90s, I think, speaks volumes about the generation there. It's almost like a little beard that goes into a receding hairline. Hornhead is the name of this Madball, by the way. But yeah, Hornhead, even as a kid, really stood out to me from a design perspective. So it's definitely what I wanted to do first, but I'm enjoying the heck out of this, so I might just do a lot of these. Do a little fan art set of these, throw some really nice materials and do a nice render of them all sitting on like gooey pedestals and platforms and stuff. Platforms are always a fun thing to sculpt because you can like get pretty creative, try to make it in the vein of the character. Maybe I'll do a set of these. There we go. So that'll be my hair layer so I know that I have it. Yeah, definitely not all bad today, but I agree. I mean, like, you shove, you know, it's just, I think it's just like you get money involved, and you get, it's just like, that's my whole thing. It's just like, you get, as soon as you get money involved, it's like, it just hurts the process so much, you know, and obviously, like, I want to be successful, I want to make money, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, there's so many art forms where it's like, you stop getting, you lose the hunger, and you shove money into the process, and it suffers so great. I mean, like, it's just, you can't deny it. Like, the product's gonna suffer. I can't think of an industry that's like, you know, the creative industry is interesting because it's like where profitability and creative freedom and profitability intersect. It's a really tricky thing, a tricky space. Video games especially, I mean, obviously if anybody's plugging into all of the drama going on right now with Battlefront 2, you know, you got a lot of, like, a lot of interesting takes on what's going on with that. one thing is these lips are too big. Take these down a bit. Feel better about that. Make sure I'm not losing any like this sort of spherical shape here. Yeah, see, you sculpt away at the model like that, you start taking away from all of the base shape, and you get your fine detail, and it might look good from your head-on camera angle, but then you start moving around, you realize that you're not really in a sphere shape anymore, and starts breaking down all the things that actually work about design. Because the one thing that does happen for all these examples that I'm looking at, it reads as a sphere kind of from every angle. So I gotta make sure I check my angles, and if I ever find any that doesn't really read correctly, just try to eyeball it and get to the point where yeah, honestly, a restart, that's the thing, it's like everything's too far gone. You know, that's just kind of like the depressing way I feel about it. Like everything's just too far gone. It's just like profitability is at a point where it's like things are so profitable so quickly and there's so much money on the line that like the consumer has so little power. And I saw an interesting take on the whole EA thing, which is that like, okay, this is going as bad as poorly as any sort of this is going about as poorly as any sort of like community outreach, you know, failing could ever go, right? Like there's, you know, canceling of pre-orders, you know, media and consumer outrage being reported. Like, you know, this is going as bad as it could possibly go for, you know, a PR of a game's launch, is the Battlefront thing. So if the game is still a success, given all of this drama, if the game is still a fiscal success, then no company will ever listen to any consumer in the games industry ever again. Because why would they? Like, you know, I can't imagine the PR that's gone worse than this one. Certainly can't think of any off the top of my head. And if it still sells really well, then like what company is ever going to care about you know, consumer like outrage ever again. You know, I mean, of course, this pertains to companies like on the scale and IPs on the scale of Star Wars and things like that. But like, you know, EA owns Marvel. Disney owns Marvel. They own Star Wars. They own a lot of IP that people would love to see. You know, new sort of content and things for, and what motivation do they have to like do right by their consumers if there's more profitable options out there that consumer outrage won't affect the bottom line significantly at all, then they really don't have any motivation to, you know, not do right by our shareholders and the fiduciary responsibility to make the most money. Like, it's a watershed moment, I feel like. Yeah, I agree, Ashley, and I also think that just, you know, what we're hearing from right now is just like the vocal 1%. I think we're just hearing from the vocal minority, and what's going to end up happening is like it's going to be sitting there at a Walmart on store shelves all holiday season, and no one's going to be like, no one's mom and, you know, kids who don't follow like games press, they just like playing games. Like, it's just, the game's going to sell plenty well. It's going to sell fine. Which of course is just going to reinforce everything. I mean, I remember we were at Call of Duty, and we used to give away those. When I was working on Call of Duty, we used to give away flag packs, right? Not flag packs. Like, in previous Call of Duties, before microtrans, we used to have like the plates on the back of your name tags would be like your flags, right? Then for like, I think it was Black Ops 2, we didn't have flags as part of the nameplates. After launch, we sold a 99-cent flag pack, so you get every flag in the world for 99 cents. And I remember feeling like I felt like guilty and dirty when we were like shipping that. And obviously it wasn't my call. I wasn't like executive level or anything. I was just an engineer. But I remember like not feeling great about us doing that. And then those flag packs made like millions and millions of dollars. I mean, like more than $10 million in the first weekend. So that's just so much money to ever care what an article on Kotaku says about Activision selling flag packs. See what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. It's like, when the bottom line is that strong, then it really doesn't matter what a journalist or the 5% of internet people who happen to have Reddit accounts, like, it just, businesses won't care. I mean, like, why would they? You know? So it's interesting. I mean, like, you know, because EA makes so much money on games like Star Wars and microtrans, you know, monetization models, is why they can afford to try games that fail, because 90% of new IP fails. Like 90% of games that are brand new IP fail. So I mean, like, it's more complicated than people are making it out to be, but, you know. Yeah, Battlefront is a beautiful looking game. Well, No Man's Sky is a tricky comparison because No Man's Sky is a tiny team. And like, I think their only thing that they messed up was they were overconfident of what they can do, which happens to a ton of tiny teams. Like, studios that don't have like a ton of games under their belt, like when you're talking about the scope of what they were trying to do and what they ended up delivering, I mean, it's no secret, like, they just ran out of, they couldn't do any better than that. You know, like, I don't think they were being deceitful as much as they were being like, oh, we didn't, you know. Again, I didn't play it, and I honestly wasn't following it all that much. I'm not an exploration game guy, so I don't know what was promised versus what was delivered. I just know that Sony's marketing machine was, once Sony signed on to be publisher of that game, their marketing machine is not the same people as the guys who were on No Man's Sky. So there's a lot of things to consider there about like who's saying what the game's going to be and why. You know, and ultimately Sony made their money, obviously, because that game sold a ton, even with the complaints. So I mean, you know, it's just the outrage is understandable. It's just I don't know, it's tricky. Jonathan Blow, who had a really interesting take on it. He was just kind of like talking about how much better games are these days, plus what they cost to make these days. And I'm sure there's some of that too in DICE and EA's justification. But there's also a ton of just like, well, this is gonna make so much money, and I don't know how much it's one versus the other. You know, like it's like there's definitely a balancing act between like profitability, exploitation, and like, oh, we want to just like stretch out our content, which means like, well, you know, the loot box system is for getting the most out of your progression model, you know, and there's something to be said for that, not just being like, oh, we can squeeze money out of people this way, you know. Yeah, and like PUBG is a good example. Like, it's just one of those games that like it doesn't affect me at all because I'm so not interested in last man standing games. I don't like any video. I love first person shooters. It's like my genre of choice. But there's not a game I play that's I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna sit there and wait for anything. Are you kidding me? I'm playing video games. I'm not gonna wait for anybody for any reason. Like that's just like not what I do games for. Even like when I'm playing Rocket League and I like watching the replay, it's like too much for me. I'm like, what am I doing sitting here? Like, skip the replay, guys. Let's go. So yeah, like PUBG is like just not for me. But like I did try it out, and you know just how buggy it is like I'm surprised how popular it is. Like it's just being a consumer and a fan of games. Like I mean, there's enough first-person shooter experiences out there that I don't need. Like, certainly don't need to play a buggy one. I don't know if there's anything in PUBG that's like so novel. I honestly don't get what made it so big, but that's the best thing about the medium. It's just like to each his own. $40 a month on Rocket League crates? Oh my god. See, here's the thing. I think there's a few things about that. Like, I don't know that I believe that loot boxes are gambling. Like, I think loot boxes for cosmetics, totally fine. I never got mad at a game that like just like you're just stretching out your, and as long as you can like as long as your time playing the game is still rewarded, I don't mind. Like Rocket League I didn't mind, but then Rocket League changed their model to where you have to spend money to get anything out of these boxes. And this is a company of 50 people who made $250 million last year. So like I don't understand at all why like you would juice people on the cosmetics. I understand as a developer it costs money. I mean, like you gotta pay designers to make this cool new art, and Rocket League has really amazing art coming out. You know, they are regularly adding content. But I mean, let's get real. That's a profit move. Like locking everything behind a paywall. Like I mean everything. Like you can't get anything of the new content without pulling out your wallet. And yeah, I spent $5 once on Rocket League crates. I got nothing that I wanted, and then I put my wallet away forever. And now I just roll with the same default kind of available via game time unlocks only. I just run with those because I mean I can't believe that it's money only just to get like car paint and wheels and stuff like that. That's I had a problem with that. I mean, it's just I don't mind loot boxes like I just said. Like Overwatch doesn't bother me at all. I think Overwatch is fine. Like it's just cosmetics, and I bought the game for $60, and I have every single character and weapon is unlocked. Like that's fine. That's fine by me. I bought Street Fighter for $60, and I couldn't play as my favorite character, Guile, who's my main. I couldn't play as him until I spent another $7 unlocking Guile. Like that rubbed me the wrong way. You know, so it's like I think there's a fine line there. Like I don't think loot box is necessarily gambling. You know, I think, you know, I don't know. I think gambling has more of a choice to it. Of course, there's slot machines, and you could say slot machines are gambling. Gambling to me there's more of like a user interaction and choice process there. I'm not against loot boxes in general. I'm just saying, like, if they affect gameplay, no way in hell. Like, you know, there's things like if you can't choose your own path as you're doing unlocks, when it comes to like game affecting items, I think that's no bueno. PUBG is up for Game of the Year. I did not know that. See, that's surprising to me. I'm not. What is Pedrag? I don't know what Warframe is. I'm just catching up here. I'm not sure what Warframe's doing. I played Warframe once, and I didn't. The core movement and the game feel didn't grab me really. So I never came back to it. Yeah, game dev is not sustainable for most companies, Spatula. That's true. Like, the thing people don't realize is that game dev is so expensive. The entry-level salaries are high because the skill positions are really hard to fill. And speaking as a guy who has to hire people, we work with a lot of contractors. I've hired people for Activision. Not only is like employee cost just high in general, it's hard to find good people. Like, you're paying a big salary to medium talent all the time. And people who are really good and like high level talent, they're super expensive because like they're really hard to find. You know, Warframe is how to do free to play. I'm interested. Tell me about what they do because I don't really know what they do. Yeah, well, see, Jackal's Gecko. That's a good point. Like, here's the For Honor and Division, two Ubisoft games that were marketed very heavily. I'm talking like they must have spent tens of millions of dollars in these marketing campaigns because these when you have that many commercials, yeah, I mean, just from my time at Activision, I know what these things cost. You talk about tens of millions of dollars on promoting this game, and that's how things like For Honor and Division get heard of by everybody. They go to every single show. They look great. Then you're talking about another, maybe 12 to 15 million on the size of your team, their benefits, their salaries, paying overtime to your QA guys, QA to the publishing, legal for all those kind of like things. So like those games have that kind of budget, right? And sure, they probably sold a lot, but 90% or more of the players in Division and For Honor fell off in the first month. I think I read that. 90% of your audience fell off in the first month. There's a lot of money in DLC and microtrans that they lost when they lost 90% of their players in the first month. Each game, okay, they came out at separate times, but each game, 90% of their users disappeared after the first month. And both those games, player bases died out because of what you just said. Like, in the Division, it was a client authoritative online game, and what that basically means is the client doesn't have a server to arbitrate every single action, which meant that you would have to communicate and you would own gameplay items on your local machine, meaning like, is this crate mine or what's in this crate, blah, blah, blah. It didn't take very long for hackers to sniff all that stuff out because when you put things on the client, it's really easy to sniff those packets and find out what is what. So that happens, and all of a sudden you go in your first game of the Division and everybody's got 99 everything because it's been hacked. And so like it completely destroyed their ecosystem. It's not fun for anybody to play, and then boom, the game's dead. For Honor was a 3 versus 3 peer-to-peer game, which is like, I can tell you as a network engineer, like networking peer-to-peer traffic, we did it for COD, and it's like, it was a multi-year process, and this is like some of the best network engineers I've ever worked with, and it was a huge struggle. And you do things like host migration, you do things like NAT punch throughs, so you can make sure that like you can get packets to the people behind weird firewalls. All of these things are really, really high level technologies that are not done by a lot of companies. Like the fact of the matter is like peer-to-peer networking on games of multiple players is just not done really, really well across the board. It's not like an established practice. It's like something that people struggle with still to this day. And so both those games died out because of just all of these glaring flaws in the network tech. And so like, I think For Honor has added dedicated servers since, but like the point is like getting that stuff right is very important, and you got to spend your money on that. Like if you're gonna spend money on something, hire the best network engineers and like get the play space totally sound. But then you got games like PUBG, and like as a network engineer, as a gameplay developer, I jump into PUBG and like I found it so, what's the right word? It was just disappointing. I didn't realize it was like this game's popular. Like this game's buggy and it's a mess. The collision's bad. I'm not even sure. The game design might be great, but I can't get past the fact that like I don't find myself like getting past the fact that it could not bother me more how those things work. But I'm surprised it's up for Game of the Year. I mean, I guess when you're that popular, it just has to be. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, Spatula. It's just like it's just not good. It's not good engineering work. Oh yeah, and they made so much off the, and they're releasing a new IP already. It's like, I don't get it, man. Greed, it's greed. Greed is like such a problem. Here's the Storm. I think Blizzard does a decent job with it, but they still get thrown under the bus, Spatula. Like they're like the inventors of like the like they think Overwatch like created that mechanism, which they totally didn't. But I mean, the Blizzard's definitely. I think I'm pretty. I guess you can call me a fanboy, honestly. I didn't think Diablo was very good. Diablo 3 I thought was a huge letdown, but like I've loved Blizzard games forever. I've loved their artists forever, and I just I think they do it really, really, really well. I just think that there's a lot of companies trying to be Blizzard. A lot of companies like that will claim to you that they do Blizzard better than Blizzard does Blizzard, and I just don't know a company that can actually truthfully say that. You know, when you talk about like what they do with their release trailers and the meta, the universes they come up with, the like the comics they make, like they're just I'm not even a huge Overwatch fan. I don't play a ton of Overwatch, even though like I played it like when it first came out, like I was just like obsessed with it. And I didn't get tired of it. I just got too busy with work to like stay up on it. I think if I get back to having more time to game, I think I'll probably fire up Overwatch and get right back into it. But point is, I'm not really super into the universe. I'm not like a huge fanboy of the universe. It's just that like I watch all those trailers. I read all the comics because like it's just really good art and really good kind of like fun, sort of slapstick, enjoyable universe development. I just love it. I don't think that like the folks at Riot are doing as good a job. I mean, don't get me wrong, Riot does a great job. Their lore stuff is cool. I just think that like Blizzard for me is like the gold standard for that kind of stuff. And I know that they happen to have like, as far as being Activision owned / partner, they have a bit more autonomy than typical Activision owned studios. So I think they do things a little bit their own way still. Warframe's pay to win, huh? Rainbow Six Siege. I wanted to play that. I haven't played that. Taking advantage. Isn't Rainbow Six Siege? Didn't they go like almost free to play? Weren't they like released at $60 and they went down to like? I think they did like switch to a free to play model. Yeah, and you know what? The thing about DICE games in general is like, I felt this way about, I think it was Battlefield 2 or 3. I mean like. Battlefield 4, maybe the last modern Battlefield that came out. I put maybe 20 hours in, and unlocked a good amount of stuff. 20 hours is a good amount of time in a you know, as far as like a progression systems goes. Like 20 hours is great. 20 hours is longer than most campaigns out there, like single player campaigns rather. And I was so far from getting like the high level content, and these are high level content like weapons and kill streaks that like rain down fury. Like I found myself, I already felt that way about DICE games. Like people are freaking out about the Star Wars game right now, but DICE's games have been doing this, in my opinion, for years, and so like I've always felt that way, and I've never expected anything different, and as a result, I think that's the last DICE game I bought was that Battlefield, and I haven't bought a DICE game since. That's just how they do things, and that's like, you know, that's their choice. I think the real egregious thing, if anybody wants something to complain about, is when the NFL and EA signed the exclusive contract so no one can make football games, because that is still something. I'm a football fan, and that still hurts me. Like I am very upset by that. I saw somebody was decrying the fact that like NFL 2K5, which is the best football game of all time, it released for $20, and it was deeper than every Madden that I've ever played in terms of just like external content as well as just like the gameplay itself. Everything about it was better. And then the NFL and EA got together real quick and basically said exclusive contracts are now a thing in games, and no one's allowed to make a professional football game anymore. It's so sad, and that's one that, like, ugh, that bothers me so much more than anything that's going on with these loot crates, I'll tell you that. Well, that's why it's considered gambling when loot boxes affect the gameplay, because when you gamble, that in itself is the game you're playing, gambling. So when you need to gamble to win the Star Wars game, you're playing a gambling game, rolling the dice with the loot boxes you bought. Yeah, I mean, I get that for sure. Like, it's a dice roll, obviously. And when it affects gameplay, I think is where that's the cardinal sin, I think. It's interesting, you know. I hope there's something made of all this. I hope that, like when games that are just quite frankly not that fun, like, don't do well, I always feel bad for the teams that worked on them, because game development is hard, and there's a lot of people who just did their best and worked day and night to try and make it as best as they possibly could. And when that goes into be a failure, that's just really sad. And all that being said, though, I do love the justice when it's like, ugh, that game's not good, and it didn't do well. Like, good. You know what I mean? Like, when games that are bad do well, it always, as a developer, hurts me a little bit. I'm like, I cannot believe this did well. It just kind of stings. Although I can't complain. I mean, I've been very fortunate. Like, I mean, pretty much every title I've ever worked on was like in the top 10, and I got that was really just by virtue of being in the right place, right time when I started my career. So I can't really complain. You know, I've never been on one of those teams, and I've been very lucky and to be on projects that have done well. So I can't speak, you know, from that perspective. But no, now that I own my own company and me and Jay are trying to spin up some new IP, you know, our first game did a lot better than we expected, and we're very happy where we're at now. But you know, when you see something that, like, you're not in love with, and it just takes over the world, you know, as a competitive person, it always kind of just stings a little bit. You know, like, the Skate game is a good example, Robin, because, like, I love Skate. I have them all, and I loved them. And I love, you know, I worked on Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk was actually, like, the first game I ever worked on. Actually, no, sorry, second. Second game I ever worked on was Tony Hawk. And even then I was like, oh, Skate games are where it's at. But they don't make money. Extreme sports is over. I didn't get my Slack wasn't updating. Westwood was so good. This is not a cesspool discussion. This is a great discussion. Oh man, you guys are making me sad listening to all these games. Yeah, exactly. I hate using totally. Like that kind of thing's been around for a long time, but I think the EA Madden thing was the first time it became specifically about sports, and I think that, you know, it's just like when you take away, you're just taking away competition, and that's what really that's what's rough about it. The lack of competition in the world of sports is it just shows, you know, it just shows. But what are you gonna do? Okay, I think I'm caught up here. Yeah, I would take just, you know what I would take? I would take Red Alert 2. Red Alert 2 reskinned. Same mechanics, same everything. I'm talking about velocity's the same, damage numbers. I want like a just reskinning a Red Alert 2, and I'll take that. I'll take it. I did fire a battle right for the first time, and I thought that was pretty cool. Fix the gosh. A templated function inlined. Wow. All right, guys. It's actually 2 hours in here, and I'm not gonna be able to go much longer, unfortunately. I gotta cut out a little bit early, but I'm gonna take a quick break, grab a water. I'll be back in 2 seconds here. What's up, guys? Yeah, a little thirsty from all the heated debate, industry debate. Something weird going on my mic, sorry guys. Had to plug it in, so I think when I did that, it started getting all crazy. So yeah, for you guys, what's up, Gary? Welcome back. For those of you guys who just joined, are not familiar with the Madballs, I'm working on Hornhead from the Madballs series. And I just mentioned I'm gonna probably have to take off a little early today. Main thing I gotta do is I gotta fix this. This thing's not just the wrong size. I can't have that be like that. One thing actually too you can do, you can hold your color and drag it over to Spotlight, but I think Spotlight has to be active, so let's do that. There's a Spotlight button. I just forget what it is. It's under Tool, yeah. I always forget what this thing is. Geometry, layers. always forget what this is. ZBrush. There's a way to. I unbound my spotlight key. I've been meaning to like re-add it back. Ah, it's under transform. It's one of these buttons. There we go. I think I can drag the color over here and see I can grab the color from that. So that'll help me just like get a nice shade of what I think. It's actually a little bit pinker. I want a little bit more purple around those lines. Yeah, there we go. Let's go a little more violet, a little darker, maybe a little desaturated. It's a decent base, which is all I'm after right now. Doing well, Gary. Having a fun stream so far. A lot of nostalgia chatter. we were throwing around some songs from the cartoons of yesteryear. Yeah, it's been good. Alright, so I like that color. Haven't done the teeth yet, obviously, but it shouldn't be too tough. And I definitely gotta break symmetry still. And it's already 2:30 though. Yeah, actually, I gotta get out of here pretty soon, guys. Unfortunately, have to. We have a really big, yet to be announced company endeavor going on right now. So hopefully, or actually not hopefully, by next week, my next stream, I'll have some pretty big news on that front. But for now, I'm gonna have to split here in a minute. Let's see if I can just get this guy to a good place. Oh no, it must be eyeball is yellow, obviously. But sorry, Gary. But yeah, I mean, feel free to check out the stream though. It was a really fun one. We had a lot of really fun chatter. Really enjoyed today's stream so far. I mean, the time flew. Can't believe it's already a lot later than I anticipated at the moment. Just trying to find the right color for that. And I like to just blocking colors at the very towards the end there. He's got a red eye, black halo, red eye. I can do that. Let me get my standard brush color out. I'll turn on symmetry just so I can center him up. Pitch black. RGB not strong enough? What's going on? There we go. I'm just eyeballing it. For better or for worse. Not a perfect circle, but I'm not too worried about it. red's a little bit too saturated. It's amazing how that like the downward Cyclops, like that downward eyebrow look right here works so well for like conveying the scorn. Getting stuck bulging this out too much. Maybe the key is just to make this bigger. That's a little bit more accurate actually. I like it. Better. Spike is about that size relative to the eye. This port's all just about, and when you're working in the early stages like this, so much of it's about just proportion. Like I want to try and nail it down so it feels like him, and I think I'm getting there actually. In the beginning, I wasn't seeing the thing I recognized when I looked at it, but lately, or at least with these edits, I think I'm almost getting there. Let's get a nice kind of darkish, desaturated blue. Let's get some of that going down here. Darker still. Maybe a little more saturated though. Yeah, that's better. Wait down to the skull. I'm gonna finish this next week, guys. This is too much fun to leave alone. I've really enjoyed working on this dude. So yeah, really enjoyed talking to you guys today. Really interesting dialogue. Appreciate the recommend to some of you guys who are recommending shows to check out. Glad we're all on the same page about the 90s and 80s. Glad we can all agree on that. So this part needs to be just pitch black. I'll do the teeth next week. And I'll have to break symmetry next week as well and start doing I'll have to break symmetry next week and start doing the scars and stuff. We're getting there. Some stuff to do. Eyeballing it, yeah. Alright guys, yeah, good stuff here. Let me get a quick render of this. Kind of looks strange without the teeth. Yeah, the teeth and the gum line will be where I think where it really pops out. Yet again, I just hate how much I've got this sticking out. These need to be smaller. The main ones can be plenty big. These little ones need to be a little bit more reasonable. There we go. These are a bit smaller. Those shapes will be a little bit cleaner now. Yeah, and then I'll clean this part in here, will be the black part. That'll sort of be the last bit before the cheekbone. This will be the last sort of like skin flap. This part will be sort of like where the cheekbone cuts in. That'll be black. And it'll show like this sort of like cavernous part of the eye, and this part will connect right there. And then we'll do the scar right here. That scar will come out of the back there. And we'll have to change up. It looks like there's two scars, one on each side that goes a little bit differently. So I'll try to make this one come in and down. That one will kind of go up and over. Good old horn head. Yeah, thank you guys. I had a really fun time today. Hopefully you guys, and also A Cubed is Ashley. She streams on Wednesday nights, and her channel is really cool too. She spends 4 hours to my 3 or 2.5 today, and she gets a lot more done than I do. It looks really cool. So check out her streams as well. Yeah, and then this is Pixelogic's official channel. People make ZBrush, so like there's a lot of really good content on this channel. So if you guys, a lot of people do a lot of different types of stuff too. People are in film, people are in 3D toy manufacturer, people are in film games. I usually do games work on here. I'm usually working on my game Disc Jam, but I got the Madballs thing came up last week on my stream, and I was like, well, I'm definitely doing it. So as I looked it up on the internet, I was like, well, I'm doing a Madballs thing next week for sure. So let's throw on perspective, make sure we get that nice perspective distortion here. I'll put one down here. Let's do a quick snapshot of Shift S. There we go. Alright guys, good stuff. I'll catch you next week, next Thursday, and yeah, be sure to check out the Pixelogic's channel. Thanks for stopping by, guys.